testament is still in the earth, man.
Yeah.
These was men who were so dedicated to their craft. If they crossed one T wrong, they threw the whole scroll away.
Right.
If they misdotted one I of 100-page story, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I hear that same passion in what you doing, getting this together.
Yeah.
It's like you want every I to have the dot, every T to be crossed, man. That's when you know it's that's when you know it's God.
Yeah. Jamil,
Yeah.
peace and grace, man. What's going on with you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here, man. It's a blessing to be in your lair. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, man. But for the people that don't know you,
Yeah.
who I would like to know you,
Yeah.
you know, who are you?
Man, you know what, man? I don't know because it's in the place I am today, man. But I'm gonna draw something from Paul real quick, man.
Yeah.
I'm the chief of the wrongdoers, man. You feel what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
I'm the chief of the wrongdoers. I'll say who've been saved by grace, man. I don't never want to take what Christ did on the cross and make it common or take it for granted, man. It's a
Right.
lot of things I could say, but I want to start from that, man, because I know personally what it is to not be in a good place. You know what I'm saying? I know what it is personally to be out of order and in a place of opposition with the Most High, and I know what it is to experience a transformation of that.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I want to say before I say anything, about degrees or any, whatever the world respects. I want to say I'm someone who has been liberated through Christ.
Yeah.
And I've been liberated more than once. I'm not a got it all right guy. I've had it wrong and I'm right with Christ, and that's really what I rejoice in, man.
Yeah.
But in real life, as they say, in the world and all that, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a brother. I really enjoy family, and one of my passions is helping people get to a place in their relationship with God where they can begin to confront some of their issues and pains. I do relationship counseling for about 15 or 20 years now, since I was in my 20s. Marriage counseling, family counseling, and those kind of things. And that's what I would call my ministry.
Yeah.
Not my ministry, but my ministry. Y'all can find me on Facebook at Chris Jamil Ministries, because I believe this, bro. I believe being a man or a woman of God in this time is going to become the equivalent of what the early church believers who were first believers after Christ experienced.
Yeah.
Just being a man and woman of God, not who just believes in God, but one that believes God,
right,
and takes that stand. So that's my ministry, is teaching people what it is to be a man and a woman, a child of God, and helping people with those principles.
Yeah, when you say believes God, you mean like believes what God said.
That's it.
I think that's what I heard you.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Who actually believes what he says and believes that that's enough. Because we live in a time, bro, where the challenge out there to those of us who believe him is there's a challenge that comes upon us a lot of times that says, that's cool, but you need this too.
Yeah.
This is what God said, but you also need this.
Yeah.
So we're going in this time, we're going against stream, and we can't act like what's going on in the world right now is not presenting a lot of different challenges, bro.
Yeah.
To take your stance in what you believe God has said and following that.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking about, you've been doing couples counseling and marriage counseling for all of those years. That's over 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Of value. So that makes you an expert, right?
Yeah.
What do you think has been the biggest challenge for you in that space in terms of what is that hump that you had to overcome in that?
You know what, man, the biggest hump is the difference between the gift and the wisdom God gives you and the lack of how it shows up in your own life. People, I don't know if I've talked to many people about this.
Yeah.
But I was doing relationship counseling in my early 20s in college. While, college is that time, man, you doing your thing. You getting your stuff out. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And I wasn't impervious at it too, but I had a gift for this thing. And I could help people see the things that they were unable to see about themselves in relationships. And I was talking to people older than me. Couples, I was 21 and 22 dealing with couples that were in their 30s who were married, and helping them hear things that they had been listening to their partner say for 5 and 6 years that they never could understand.
Right.
But as a 20-year-old, guess what? I'm getting into relationships, and that was around the time I met my then wife at 23, right?
Yeah. One
of the biggest humps is how you can help and heal, but still have to go through your own blockages, brokenness. That was one of the most humbling things for me, and it's still a humbling thing for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm still growing. You can be gifted and have insight and grow in that, and still almost be helpless in some of those areas for yourself.
Right. Right.
And growing in that has really helped balance me as a man, because there's some things that in my 20s you don't have until you go through some stuff. So it's the things I went through in marriage and relationships and in my own learning about my own self and areas of brokenness that helped enrich what I do.
Yeah. So you've been married twice.
I've been married once. No, my wife, no, we've been married since 2006, 15 years.
Got you. I thought you were saying then wife, but you mean...
Oh, my wife, yeah, my wife now, yeah. That's I met the wife I have now. I met in 2003, yeah. Don't get me in trouble in here, bro. My wife be like, "What? You was married?"
That's super dope, man. It adds a lot of value, because we can get in a place where we're doing things and we're trying to help people, and then we're struggling our own lives, and it's like, and then you're not even being as great or excellent as you can in the thing that you're trying to do. So it becomes a public failure and a private failure, which is way more heavy than you being a public success and a private failure. Like, what if you're both failures, publicly and privately?
Why do you think so many ministers get burnt out? Because they're serving everybody else except their families.
Yeah.
How many ministers' wives and ministers' husbands can't stand the people they're ministering to because they're not receiving that? How many of their children can't stand it? I'm saying this from real life experience.
Yeah.
I had to learn that your ministry first is your way you manage your time in your household, the way you manage that. And the scriptures say a man should be a man of one wife, and that his house should be in order, because from that order, God will bless what he does for people in his passion. So I learned what it is to have that out of order. A lot of people go, me, God, the ministry, church affairs, my public persona, then kids and wife and all that, when it's really you and God and this family. The family's where you learn your management skills. You know what I'm saying?
And that's it.
That's where you learn your management skills.
So you posted something on social media one day, man, and you said that people don't tell you that marriage doesn't even gain its footing until 10 years in.
Yeah.
That was it hit home for me, because I've reached the 10-year mark and plus, right?
Yeah.
Just talk about that real quick, man, because that was dope.
Man, I mean, a lot of times the way something starts is not going to resemble what it will become as it moves forward, right? When you get married, a lot of times now, we really don't often have realistic ideas about what it's going to be. People come with their expectations of it, then society has it. a lot of times we think we get together and that person's there for us.
Yeah.
To make us happy. In the moment they don't do it, we have doubts, we got questions, there's arguments, there's beefs. But there are just, and I learned this from elders and mentors and ministers ahead of me. They said there are some things that don't even get, the surface is not scratched until 10 years. There's some things as a husband I didn't understand about myself until we had thugged it out, toughed it out for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? There's some things my wife didn't understand about herself. We've been married 15 years now. There are some things that are around the 10, the 9, the 10, 11 year mark that she didn't grasp about herself until we showed that commitment. Two imperfect people deciding not to give up on each other. Some things, listen, let me say this real quick. Like a lot of times we think God honors talent, our intelligence, our charisma. God honors honor and loyalty. There's some things he's not going to release to you until you show him honor and loyalty and commitment. And there are some jewels in a marriage that aren't going to come out until you've been in it for a while, because God's waiting to see if you're going to stay committed to this institution. And I want to say that you know, there are some beefs, there are some expectations that you have to teach each other through a season of seasons before they come around.
I just think, you know, in the fight of it, or the thick of it, right, the thug it out part, it makes it even more glorious. And you can stand up on the mountaintop and just be like, I'm here now.
That's it. That's it, man. Let me say this too, man. A lot of times we've got to iron out a lot of things in us that don't line up with God, man. Because sometimes as men, we think marriage is someone who's there to be there for us. Sometimes we think it's about a sexual buffet. We've been taught that when you get married, it's a sexual buffet. You've been taught that that person's going to be there to submit to you, or be there to always agree with you and be there in your struggle. And you don't often realize the layers and levels to which that person is a person. Sometimes that wife may think you're there to make sure they're always secure, always provided for, that you're going to be able to understand and acknowledge all her emotions and all these things that Disney has put into our head, right? And those things don't get ironed out until the rubber meets the road. But if you can have someone who you can get naked with, spiritually, we can get, anybody can get naked physically with anyone. But if you can grow to a point where you can get naked with someone spiritually and emotionally, and they can see your faults, and instead of shaming you or embarrassing you, they learn how to cover you, you found something worth fighting for. And in the midst of that, that can help you balance yourself. Guess what? A lot of times in marriage, as a man, you got to learn to discipline your sexual appetite.
Oh, man.
And make it more about that person than about your urges, because sex changes. People don't talk about that. Just the sex life changes. Body features change. Your money goes up, your money goes down. You have failures. Listen, there are things we as men don't talk about, man. The Spirit just on me to just be real, man. You got men out there with their wives, and they have situations where your wife miscarriages. And as a man, okay, I'm being real. I've talked to my wife about this, okay? As a man, I'm a counselor. I walk people through those processes. I help them heal. But when it happens to me, I don't know how to deal with it because it's so close to me. And it's the shame of not knowing how to deal with it, and your wife don't know how to deal with it, and there's silent spots. You don't know what's going to happen, bro. But in time, it's because you stick through it. There are these breakthrough points of being lost, being ashamed, not being a man you don't understand how to do. And when you get to those points, because you stay committed, God will show you a breakthrough, and you have that conversation at 2 a.m. at night where you acknowledge that you didn't know. and you know she's been struggling, you don't know what to say, and God has a breakthrough and reveals to you that that one you lost is coming back, and a year later you get pregnant. These are some of the things you have to go through. And I'm saying that these things are not like the commercials. They're not like the love and hip hop model of relationships. They cause you to have to dig down deep and stay in it, and be receptive and trust God and follow what He said and honoring what He said to see it through. So there's some real things that go down that are only honored if you stick it out and align with His principles rather than worshiping what your feelings say. Sometimes your feelings say, as a man, I don't need this. Sometimes a woman is like, I could do bad all by myself. Those things come up. You question it. But it's about denying those things. Christ said, if you want to follow me, you have to deny yourself. Not be in self-denial. Self-denial is when you pretend it's not happening. Denying yourself means you abstain from reacting the way the world or your emotions may tell you to do. And if you do that, the way will be unveiled to you, and you'll be able to last in these relationships. But it's work.
Yeah, it's work, and then I think somebody might look at that or hear what you just said and say that's inhumane. You know, that's something that a human being can't do. Yeah. And it made me just go back to just the lives that you do on your Facebook page, and the purpose behind those ARC builds that you do, man. Talk about that real quick if you can add some value with that.
Absolutely. I like to do what I call ARC builds because I feel like in this changing time, I think we're in the fulfillment of prophecy. I don't care if you don't believe in God. If you look around, you see what's going on. You know something's happening. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this locust literally in East Africa. You know what I mean? There's literally plagues going on, man.
Right.
And honor to God, I believe in this, is that when things are going on, there are blueprints being given for arcs to be built.
Yeah.
And I believe that in the kingdom, it's important for us to start talking about what those blueprints are and how to build them. See, your passion is your blueprint. The work you do is the wood and the material to build the ark that's going to save and preserve somebody else.
Right.
The ministry I do is about teaching people there's something being given to you while these clouds are gathering. Right? There's something being given to you while the news is telling you about plagues and economic crises and racial division. Something's being given to you. And so what I want to focus on is, how do we come together to have ARC talks that will graduate into ARC building?
Yeah.
One of the greatest ARCs that we can build right now is family. You see what I'm saying? In our culture, I'm not afraid to talk about our culture. I believe that, number one, my main mission is to invite as many people in the kingdom's citizenship as possible. But also, because I'm in this skin, I have to speak to our people. And the biggest vulnerability we have to the flood that is beginning to manifest through the reign of issues we have is families. We don't talk about it. I think we're being blinded by it from media and things like that. But a great deal of the suffering happening amongst our community is the conflict between men and women, the spirit of anti-marriage, role reversal. You know, men are in cases becoming more effeminate and passive and irresponsible, and women are having to take on more leadership roles and things like that. So one of the things that I believe is just looking into God's word and seeing what He has said about the power of us coming together as family and joining together and understanding our need for one another. That helps us fight off poverty. That helps us fight off the criminal system. That helps us fight off stress and depression and identity confusion. And I don't think we realize how much we need each other, because we're being fed that our value is in being independent from each other. Our value is in how much we don't need one another. We are one of the only cultures where our women say, I don't need a man. Who else
says that? Who else says that, bro? So somewhere we've dropped the ball. I'm saying we've dropped the ball.
I think it's been more of a lack of self-awareness where you just find where they can't keep a man, right?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
So I can't keep a man because I don't need a man.
Yes, thank you.
Because my pride won't allow me to just say,
right.
I can't keep this dude around.
That's it. Ever said if your lashes were longer, that'll make you more
attractive.
Right. You know, but yet, right, here's the thing. Check that out, Darius. If you don't have that peace, then your idea of masculinity and femininity becomes more superficial.
Right.
So your masculinity be about if I got a six-pack. Your masculinity is about what type of car I have.
Right. And it's your thinking, right?
It's your thinking. Going back to your thing, man.
It's your thinking. It's your mindset.
It's your mindset. Right. So femininity, right? Guess what? If you're not rooted in who you are, who God says you are, your femininity becomes more. It's not that your appearance is not rooted in your femininity, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the culture now, look at the reality shows, bro. I'm telling you, the women are beginning to look less human. It's more exaggerated.
Man, I hate to do this, but I gotta go ahead and affirm what you're saying, bro.
Yeah.
And not only do they begin to look less human, they become more objectified. And then the culture of, men objectifying women just becomes a normality. And because we're not having the conversation, you get to say what you just said. Because I need to be fully engaged in who you are in your mind and your conversation.
And we can't be afraid. I'm saying this is why I say, I call it ministries.
Yeah.
The stuff we see now wouldn't happen if the men of our great-grandfathers' generations were here. See, a lot of the things you see politically and socially, it's happening because a certain type of man has died out. Men who would speak to these things. Do you see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that men of faith now, I'm saying it, black men, I'm saying it, black men. I know y'all think that there are no other people who haven't bowed down to Baal. We are out here. I'm encouraging you to not compromise, to speak the truth. To speak the truth to those around you that you love, and don't be afraid. We have to put that on the line, because guess what? Our women need to hear it. If they don't hear it from us, who are they getting it from?
Oh, man. And then there's this spirit that says, if I tell her the truth about herself right now, she's going to be offended.
Yes.
She's not going to speak to me.
Yes.
I ain't going to get the BBL tonight.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right.
So I'm going to affirm that too.
You see what I'm saying?
Fellas, if you got to reject the BBL tonight,
go ahead and do it.
Just go ahead and do it.
Because here's the truth. Here's the truth now, bro. Here's the truth. Now, when I was in college, and even now, okay, I'm walking out with my wife, right? And you see more of these out here. She'd be like, I know you seen that. And I was like, yeah, you seen it first, right? Because your woman see it first. But one of the things I've always shared over the years is like, men are visual. Of course, we see that, but that's not what we commit to. Nobody talks about that, but they're telling the women that in order to attract a man to commit to you, that you got to do too much. But guess what? The woman I'm going to commit to stands out. And they're making it difficult for a woman to believe that if she stands out and has a standard and sets her side, which elevates her value. Because I'm looking at a woman, I'm like, okay, she keeps herself to herself. She has certain standards. Her value's higher than me because I know dudes without those standards can't get to her. So I'm going to work for her. That's what, you feel what I'm saying? I'm going to work for her. But I may play around as a young man. I may play around with the one who's doing too much and putting herself all the way out there in the way that the spirit of the world might say, but I'm not going to take you to my grandma's house.
And this is how you end up with kids and not being married.
That's it.
Because you don't even understand how to just be set apart and stand out. Like it ain't even about, it's a combination of things that came together with you.
Talk about
that you didn't do anything. It was just
talk about.
And sometimes, ladies, it be something about you that's just different.
That's it.
Than everybody else.
Yes.
It's not even about what you look like.
Yes.
Like it's just a combination of stuff that was outside of you.
Now we have to listen. Now we going into some stuff now, bro. Listen, there are pheromones to this thing, bro. Listen, I'm talking to some woman out there who's standing out. You might be that woman who stands out, and all your girlfriends get hollered at. But sometimes it's because there's a pheromone on those women that they put out that puts out an energy that they're more available. And if you put out the energy or the spirit that you are set apart, they're like, hey, I got just this one night to put my work in. That's too much work. But what you're doing is you're setting yourself apart for the man who's looking for that thing that's set apart.
You said pheromone, like
you can smell it, man.
I'm gonna have to Google it.
Ones that are more active.
Yeah.
There's a vibration to it. Okay? There's pheromones that come up when you're more sexually active. This is why they say the old people called it spirits. Like spirits attract the like spirits. So if you got a vibe that you're out there and your standard is you're not looking for something greater, you're going to attract the dude not looking for much. Okay? If you've got a standard that's greater, okay, if your steak costs more than bologna. Okay? Now, if I only got $2, I'm going to get the dollar menu that I can achieve and get because the standard's lower. But if it's steak, I got to get prepared for that. I got to dress different when I'm going for the steak. If I go to McDonald's, I just walk in right now. But if we go into the Ruth Chris and all of that, right, the protocol's completely different. And the same thing is with men and women. Okay? So it's a whole different approach. In the spirit of the world right now, there is an anti-spirit, an anti-marriage spirit that is poured into our community. Okay? And it makes us feel that if we stand out differently, that we're not going to get what we deserve. But if you stand out, that's what's going to activate something. It's when you take a stand that you begin to activate the powers of heaven to move people into your life. Because it's going to change your environments, man. If you hang around all women that are hating on men, what are you going to attract? Lower men equality.